evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Pivot Poll. It's Friday night,
All
so
right.
we welcome you to the Pivot Poll. I'm Heather, and this, of course, is Andretta. Hey, Andretta. And we would like to welcome you again to another wonderful show that we have. So we are honored and very privileged to have Karen Robertson on tonight. Karen came on our maybe first or second show or third show with a panel of dynamic women, and during that time, after that time actually, Karen started writing her book and created the book that we are going to talk about tonight, which Andretta and I have both been diving into. Is entitled Epiphany: Journey to Finding the Real You. So before we get head first into this, I have known Karen for at least 4 or 5 years, I think now. We are sorority sisters, and we met in Lake Oconee, chapter of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. And Karen has been a great friend. She's been a great sorority sister. She is a great leader in her community. She is a wonderful mother and wife. And it's just an honor for me to share this platform with you tonight, Karen. And we really look forward to hearing all about you and about your journey to finding the real you. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Karen Robertson.
Thank you so much, Heather. I appreciate that. I was thinking like you were talking, you were introducing me, and I was like, who's this lady she's talking about? Who is this wonderful person that I really want to get to meet? But I'm honored to be here. Thank you both, to you and Andretta and to the Pivot Poll for having me as a guest. I appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, Karen, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from and all of those good things. And then we will jump into telling us why you wrote this book and what is this book about?
All right. Well, in short, I'm a military brat. My dad was in the Army, so I traveled around the world just a little bit with him, the youngest of four children. And as you said, wife and mother, have four adult children. I know that's hard to believe, but yes, all of my kids are adults. Um, and just a person who loves life, a person who, first of all, loves the Lord, who loves God, and just enjoys being with people who are moving forward and who have an attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
It takes me to another level when I'm around people who have that mind and that drive. And so I think I'm a bit of a comedian, but I don't know if I'll ever get paid to do that. So I'm not going to quit my day job. So
Okay, okay. Well, I do understand. And yes, you are a comedian because we have gotten in a little bit of trouble every now and then.
absolutely. Good trouble. Good
Good
trouble.
trouble, good trouble. Exactly, exactly. So, Karen, tell us about this beautiful masterpiece that you created called Epiphany.
All right. Well, where do I start? If you have a copy of my book, and for those of you all that do not, it's okay. Uh, thank you, ladies. Um, in the summary of the book, I share that I'm a recovering procrastinator, right? So, and everybody's like, what is that? What is a recovering procrastinator? Well, I have been that person that always stopped and started projects, that person who waits until the last minute to get things done, who avoids the hard stuff, right? Running away from the tasks that I knew were going to take time and planning, and had all these wonderful ideas, great ideas and things I wanted to do, and not lacking creativity by any stretch of the imagination or ability, just had a hard time with procrastination. And so procrastination ended up giving birth to some other things. And so I thought I would wake up at the middle of the night, I would say, what am I going to do with my life? What is it I want to do? And so I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would have these thoughts, have these dreams. I would find myself finding pieces of paper in the middle of the night and start scribbling down ideas right on my nightstand. Or I'm that person that every year with the new year would go out and buy a new journal, like I was just going to do all this writing great things, right? So I probably have 100 journals and 1,000 pieces of paper with words and ideas and thoughts written all over it of things that I wanted to do. Um, well, the pandemic really taught Karen a lot, taught me a lot. It really caused me to think and to take seriously my thinking and to really reflect some very hard reflecting over my life and what have I done? What have I accomplished? Yes, I'm a mother of beautiful children, 4 beautiful children. Yes, I'm a wife of almost 25 years. Yes, I'm an accomplished professional um, who's done some great things in grant writing and fundraising. Yes, I'm a leader in my community, but what about me?
Yeah.
What about that spirit of unfulfillment that I had, that
Right.
quiet unfulfillment that I had? And so out of that, I took all of these moments of inspiration that I sat down on, right? I walked away from these moments of hope and, ooh, I'm going to do something great, and then did nothing. So
Yeah.
I took all of that after the pandemic came and said, that really woke me up and said, things could pivot and shift without your permission
Mm-hmm.
Right.
in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you really live your dash, Karen? And
Mm-hmm.
so I
Mm.
decided to not wait any longer because I was afraid
Yeah.
that I would
Mm.
go to my grave,
Mm-hmm.
all of these hopes and dreams and ideas, and no one would ever hear them. The world would never hear them.
Right.
So I
Wow.
pushed and pressed, and out of that came Epiphany, Journey to Finding the Real You.
Wow, Karen.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That's amazing.
I love it.
Wow.
I love
I just want to jump in if I can. Can you hear me, Heather? Because I want to just kind of give an announcement. We're getting some streaming issues. We are not streaming right now on Facebook, but we are on YouTube. So
it.
if you have a chance, ladies, I just shared it out to Facebook, YouTube, so you guys, click that YouTube link to get to us or share it with your friends. Those of you who want to view us live, there are others who may have to catch the replay because we got a message that we're having some issues on Facebook, but we're going to continue on because I really want people to be able to hear what you have to say as it relates to that. Are you really living the dash? That's
Mhm.
profound to me because it really puts things in perspective to know that you only have that amount of time before it's time to do, what you're called to do. And so that has a way of straightening out your perspective real fast, So that really hit me when you said that, Karen. That was good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All of us have experienced those sudden moments when we've either lost a friend or
Yeah.
lost a family member, and it was unexpected, right? It was that change that shook you, that caused you to wake up and say, whoa. And we say this, and I don't know if how we feel when we say it, but we say, man, life is so short. And we
Mhm.
Right.
just use that word, that term so loosely.
Right.
Right.
Life truly is short as a vapor or a
Right.
mist. It could be there one moment and gone the next. And
Right.
Exactly.
I want to live that dash out. I want to push everything I can in it now, and I realize I'm operating on a little bit of grace, a lot of grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm trying to push it in. I'm
Yeah.
repenting
Yeah.
for all the squandered and wasted time, and I'm pushing stuff in this dash until
Yes.
my dash comes to a close. So
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Well, Karen, I this when I started reading this your book, um, first off, it was very inviting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, from a person who I like audiobooks. If I the right way to say it. I like audiobooks more than I like the physical paper.
that's right.
But this was very inviting.
Yeah, it
Um,
was.
I could sit down every morning before I
Mm-hmm.
got ready to start my day with a cup
Mm-hmm.
of coffee and just read.
Yeah.
and I appreciated that. And
Mhm.
on page 27, you talk about move in silence.
Mm.
So why was it so important for you to learn to move in silence?
Well, first of all, I think I was already moving in silence at the time when you're reading that as a
Mm.
young child. I was alone a lot as a young girl, and I learned how to enjoy creating quietly. I
Wow.
learned how to embrace the silence
Mm.
and the solitude, if you will,
Mhm.
and make that not a bad thing. You know, a lot of times being alone and working alone, people are like, it's just too quiet. It's just I need some other people here. But I learned to enjoy that, and I think that's a part of where my introvert side was. But then as I got older, I really began to embrace it because, you know, it became this popular cliche that everyone
Mhm.
wanted to move in silence. You know, you want to make boss moves and not let anyone know. Well, it
Mhm.
wasn't even about making a boss move, it was about nurturing the gift that
Mm.
God had given me
Yeah. Yeah.
without the outside distractions,
Mhm.
without those things that could cause me to abort that which God had me working on.
That's right.
And you know, as a procrastinator, um, a lot of what comes with that is easily being distracted, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
anything can throw you off, anything can cause you or pull you away from a task or an assignment. And so
Right.
learning how to embrace moving in silence is appreciating the quiet times, the
Mm.
quiet moments, and working and being okay with that, to
Yeah.
nurture that gift, to love on that gift, to grow it and expand it. And so, yeah, that's my move in silence.
Wow, that's so good. I mean, I felt like Heather with the same when I first got the book in my hands and I started going through it and started reading it. You know, it was something about the way that it just seemed like it just entered right in. There was no, it wasn't encumbered. It wasn't, you know, something that I had to really like. It just really spoke to my heart in a very it had an ease about it and the way I was able to receive the messages from it. And Heather, that I wrote down that same line. And Heather and I, as we were sharing
Yeah.
notes on this, I have to say, I said, oh my God, let me tell you what spoke to me. Because this is what we were doing. And I said, page 27 or page 38. She said, I wrote down that same line. And I'm like,
Yeah.
page 24. Okay, I wrote down that same line. And that was one of the things that spoke to me about moving in silence and what you just said about being okay and learning to stop and nurture in patience the gift that God has given you. Because sometimes we are so driven in a fast paced environment where we don't feel comfortable sitting still enough, you know,
Absolutely.
to just hear and to
Absolutely.
hear what God may be saying and to hear the direction. And I love the word that you use, which is one of my favorite words, is the strategy for what
Yes.
I may be saying. I said, come on now. I was yelling at this book. This book ain't did nothing to me. But I was yelling at the book. Okay. I really was because a lot of what you said really resonated with me. And so I've really felt that same part, Heather. I was really,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, you know, I loved to read when I was younger, right?
Mhm.
So when I was probably about 4 or 5, and you learned a bit about that, uh,
Yes.
my eager learner piece,
Yeah,
part
yeah.
that loved words and loved to read, loved books. Well, I grew out of that as
Wow.
I got older and I got busy focusing on other things, right?
Yeah.
And so as I was writing the book,
Hmm.
I started writing and I was like, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right.
Mm.
And I wanted it to be a conversation with friends. So
Yeah.
Heather, when you said it was inviting,
Yes.
Greta, when you said that it pulled you right in, it didn't take you it
Yeah.
wasn't encumbered or cumbersome to get into it.
Yeah.
I wanted people to feel like they were having a
Yeah.
conversation
Feel that way.
with me.
It worked.
I mean, I have to find books that speak to me in the same way. And
Yeah.
that's the type of reader I am. And that was the experience that I wanted my readers to have.
Wow. Well,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
definitely came across. It
It
definitely.
did. It did. Yeah. I want to share a piece, Heather, if you don't mind. On page 38, this was the playground politics, and we're not going to tell all of it. Y'all going to have to go to the website. We're just teasing y'all a little bit. Y'all gonna have to go to her website and get this book.
Yeah.
It is absolutely worth going to her website, pulling the book, because it really does what it says it's going to do. In that, it gives you an opportunity to kind of reflect upon your life, your call, your gift. You know what's been holding you back, and allowing you to put that momentum on what you're trying to do. But in particular, on page 38, when you were talking about a little bit of the playground politics, and we'll let you all find out what that's all about in the book. But there was a line, Karen, that I had to sit still on, like, and it was when you said, and I'm going to pull this line out of here. It was kind of like one of, when people are saying negative things to you, they're calling you out of your name, calling you, in ways that is not a reflection of who you truly are. And you said, I always knew in my mind that I was better than the things they said about me. And when they said I was ugly, the real me, who I hadn't tapped into yet, would always remind me that I was beautiful as ever. The
Yeah.
thing that the real me, who I hadn't tapped into yet. And I still feel like, yes, you're talking about the playground, but even as an adult grown woman,
Mm,
there are places that you haven't tapped into yet. You see what I'm saying? That portion of you that's telling you who you are, that's saying you're better than that, that's saying you can do this, that's the part of you that craves the manifestation that you talk about in this book. And so it was heavy to me. I had to sit there and say, the real me, who I hadn't tapped into yet. There are still places in my life that I haven't tapped into yet. So I
Right.
felt like, even though this was talking about the playground, it was so applicable to, what I experienced today, as an adult woman. So I just wanted to share that. Heather, what you think about that part?
whew,
I underlined the same thing. Um, just saying.
Yes.
And I can remember the playground politics.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and they weren't always nice politics.
Hmm.
And it it it's just interesting, this part of the book, you go into, you talk about the same things that are people, young folks are experiencing today.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know, you didn't wear the name brand shoes or the expensive clothes, and young adults, young kids today still have to deal with that.
That's
They don't
right.
have the latest and greatest on, so now they're
Mhm.
over here, and then another group is over here, and
Yeah, yeah.
you know, we used to, I think we used to fight fair. Now, they don't fight as fair like we used to. It's a totally different day. But in order, I think it takes a lot and took a lot for you to pass, push past that,
Hmm.
understand
Hmm.
that just because they're saying what they're saying is not a reflection, and I'm not going to take that on.
Right.
absolutely, absolutely. And it was tough then.
Hmm.
It carried on for several years, but
Hmm.
it also, as Andretta said,
Hmm.
carried on even into adulthood.
It
And,
does.
and there are so many politics, if you will, in our
Yes,
lives as
it
adults.
it
We're
is.
jockeying quietly or loudly for positions. We're
Yes.
jockeying quietly or loudly for people to recognize the gifts and the talents that we have.
Mm.
We can often be overlooked
Yeah.
because it's sometimes a popularity contest
Yes.
Yep.
Come
in
on
many
now.
of the arenas that we find ourselves in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't tap into the real you,
Mm. Come on now.
you will find yourself standing back or going to bed, soaking your pillow with
Mm.
tears at
Mm.
nighttime
Right.
because you haven't tapped into it. And you also haven't tapped into the strategies to
Mhm.
allow you to realize who that person is. And
Mhm.
that person is greater than these scenarios that you're being subjected to.
That's right.
I
That's
tell you, it is a journey. That is why
Yes.
my book is titled that.
yeah,
I
it is.
constantly have to remind myself,
Mhm.
Karen, do you know what God said about you, daughter?
Come on
Do
now.
you know? Do
Yeah,
you understand the
yeah.
power that you have inherited because
Mhm.
you are a child of the King? And
Yes.
for many years, I didn't grasp that understanding. I
Mhm.
didn't walk in that understanding.
Yes.
And I battled and wrestled with,
Yes.
who am I? And
Yeah.
should I
Mm.
try to fit in? Should
Yes.
I try to make them like me? Should I
Yeah.
try to change the way I talk
Come
or the
on.
way I look? You
Yeah.
know, if I could brighten my skin, should I do that?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, this is something that's not in the book, but it goes right into this situation.
Mhm.
I remember, and it's part of my comedian side. So allow me to just go here for a minute.
Sure. Do.
You know, in coming up in my teenage years, girls that were bow-legged
Mhm.
were the hot girls, right?
Okay.
Okay, y'all are laughing. So you
Yes.
remember
Yeah.
Yes.
girls that were bow-legged or had
Mhm.
that little stand to the side
Mhm.
that shifted their little hips to the side.
Mhm.
You know, they were the girls who had the cute walk, got the
Yep.
Yeah.
cute attention. So
Yeah.
I found myself as an early teen, a
Mhm.
preteen, trying to adjust even the way I walked.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much now that if I'm not thinking about it, I have a permanent lean to the left because I was trying to affixate
Yes.
myself to fit this image that
Yep.
Mm.
made me attractive, that made me
Ooh,
beautiful. And
that's
you
so.
know
Mhm.
what? I realized that there was a swan there. There was a
Yeah.
swan. When they were trying to make me an ugly duckling,
Come
I
on.
didn't even see the swan. I didn't see the swan that was there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That thing is real. It's
It
real
is.
as adults. It's real. A
That
lot of
is.
women still battle with that.
Mhm.
That's why it's a journey.
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Go ahead.
Wow. So, okay. So, Karen, we talked about this uh, before the broadcast started, but can you tell us about tuna? Pretty please.
I'm going to speak very short on tuna
Mhm.
because I want people to go get
Yes.
the book. I like the teaser, Heather.
Yes.
Putting the teaser out
Put
there.
it out
Mhm.
there.
You guys like tuna? Um, people that make you laugh, people that show up, people
Mhm.
that go away. People that help you through difficult times when no one else is there,
Yeah.
Yes.
who
Yeah.
know when to come and when to leave,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
do all the right things when
Come
they
on.
are needed.
That's
Yeah.
Tuna,
good.
tuna is amazing.
Tuna
Yes.
is
Tuna is amazing.
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
I wish I would have had a tuna, but we gonna see. Y'all need to go find out what's
Y'all
going
gotta
on with
find out who
tuna.
tuna
I
is. You
gotta
gotta
buy the book though.
I just want to know if anyone, I see a couple of people are starting to come on. I just want
Yes.
to know, Heather, can we poll them to ask, do you know about tuna?
Yes. So, how many people had an imaginary friend growing up when you were young? How many people had, because, a lot of us did. There's some of us on this call who didn't, but it's okay. Um, it's okay. But, some of us had, imaginary friends. And I was telling Karen that I can't remember my imaginary friend's name, but I do remember having her, and I don't remember when she came and when she left.
Mhm.
But you got to get this book, guys, because
Yes, come through, tuna. Come through.
tuna, tuna, tuna. Yeah, everybody needs a tuna in their life.
Everyone
So
needs a tuna in their life.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes,
Lifesaver.
yes.
Lifesaver.
Lifesaver.
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So Karen, on page 51, now let me set this up for everybody. So the way that Karen has outlined this book,
Mm-hmm.
it it has nuggets, it has scripture, so that's after our own hearts.
Right.
It ties everything back to scripture, and on page 51, it starts to talk about the self assessment.
Yes.
Um, and you know, I have read or listened to the audios of a lot of self help books or self assessment books and things of that nature. But I really do believe, Karen, this is like the first time that I have the questions that you ask, that you pose in these pages, really made me think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, I'll give you an example. If you had 3 days to live, what would you spend those days doing?
Mm. Yeah.
I've never thought of that. But if
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I only had 3 days left here on this earth,
Yeah.
what would I do? Um, that gives you pause to
Mm-hmm.
actually stop and think
Yeah.
about what's important and what's not important.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know, what things are non-negotiables for you that you will not compromise on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes if you grow up compromising all the time, you never know what's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You never
Exactly.
know. So
Yes.
these questions really they're really thought provoking, and the way that you have it lined out is even at the end you tell people, now wait, now after you've done all of this, now sit with it for a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah. I
know,
like that. Yeah, I like that as well because even and Heather, I'm gonna say this. In looking at this book, I want to say this for people who, because sometimes we hear somebody wrote a book, and and if you're not a person that is big on reading, it kind of just passes you by. The beautiful thing about Karen's book is that it provides an opportunity for you to do some work within as you're reading it. So it's not just about reading and hearing, because it's got this beautiful balance of personal stories, practical wisdom, instruction, strategy, and then it asks you to take the next step in the book and gives you space to do that, for you to do what Heather said, is to assess yourself, to take with you what you've heard, to really, and so Ann Ballard, I don't know you, Ann, welcome, Ann. She said it's interactive. So you get an opportunity to do the work. And that's why I would encourage you. Really, we're not just saying this because Karen's been on this show, because I don't endorse something if I don't like it. I mean, I'm just going to tell you that. So this is my honest, feedback and review of that. It allows you to take the time to do the work, to assess yourself, to look within, to identify with her stories, because your level of transparency
yeah,
in this book is phenomenal,
yes,
Karen. I found myself like, wow, I felt like that, or wow. In particular, when you were talking about the spirit of perfectionism, I had to stop.
Real.
Okay, I
It's
said,
real.
I don't know where Karen lived, but I will throw this book out the window. Listen, this book, it identified, and what happens is that sometimes you don't know that's what you're dealing with, and
Right.
you don't know why you're not moving. And when she started talking about, talk to us, Karen, a little bit about that for the people, and you don't have to go deep into it, but talk a little bit about that spirit of perfectionism. Talk to us about that.
Listen, that spirit of perfectionism is real.
mhm,
If you allow it to operate and have room in your life, if
Mm-hmm.
you allow it to grow in your life, it
Yeah.
can consume you. And by definition, as I use the spirit of
Mm-hmm.
perfectionism, I mean how I constantly
Yeah.
stopped and started ideas and
Mm-hmm.
projects
Oh my gosh.
simply because I wanted every piece, every variable to be just right. It
Come
had to
on.
be excellent. It
Come
had to
on.
have every T, not just crossed,
Mm.
but the cross had to be level, not just every I dotted, but the
Yes.
I had to be perfect. The
Yep.
circle had to be filled in. Like when we took those bubble tests and
Yes.
Yes.
bubbling in, I was
Yes.
the one that I couldn't leave a bubble with a white spot in it. It had to be fully bubbled in. That spirit of perfectionism is
Yes.
serious. Now, not to the degree that,
Yeah.
everything in my refrigerator is lined up just
Right.
right. Not for me. That's not it for me.
Right.
But
Right.
in terms of how I display myself and my work to the world,
Yes.
it stifled me.
Yeah.
It caused me to not do anything
Mm.
because I could not make a decision because perfectionism had me just in a chokehold, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it stopped me from doing so much. I was worried about what would the people say if
Mm.
this T is not crossed right.
Right.
What would they say? And guys, I'm telling you, it is a mind imprisoning thing.
Mm-hmm.
It will grasp hold to you. And so even as I wrote the book, God finally told me, stop, put your
Mhm.
pencil down. The book is done.
Mhm.
Yes.
And he wouldn't allow me to write anymore because I kept changing things and adding things. And God, that doesn't sound right. Lord, how are they going to receive that? It doesn't read well. God, and even after getting assistance with content read and things like that you do as you go through the process, it just wasn't good enough. And
Yeah.
God finally told me, that's it. Put
That's
the
it.
pen down. And
Wow.
listen, I think the God that we serve, listen, y'all,
Oh, come on now.
I can't even talk about what I'm talking about without bringing up my father who loves me so
Mm.
much
Yes.
that he wanted me to break through that spirit of perfectionism, that
Mm-hmm.
he allowed even in this book there to
Mm-hmm.
be things after it was published for
Mm-hmm.
my eye to catch, to say,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't perfect. That
Mm-hmm.
wasn't. But you know what? The people are going to be blessed by the words that I gave you, daughter. They're going to be blessed by your stories
That's
and your
right.
experience. They're not looking at whether there was an extra word that shouldn't have been there, which I noticed. I don't care. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, I'm like, God, you get the glory. And
Yes.
he allowed that to happen. He allowed me to go through that so that I can say, you know what? God, if
Yes.
I'm giving you my heart, if I'm
Yes.
laying my heart out before you and you're guiding me and you're telling me what I need to do, I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay with the blemishes. God,
Come
I'm
on.
okay. I'm okay with the bruises. God, because I know you're going to take all of those things and you're going to make a beautiful story that's
Yeah.
going to bless someone. And I thank God for any of you all that are wrestling with the spirit of perfectionism. I
Mm-hmm.
want to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
Try badly. Try badly at whatever you do. Release it. Put it out there and learn how to laugh at yourself. Learn how to laugh at yourself and say, you ain't all that.
Yes.
This is from God. God is guiding you through this. Give him the glory. Give him the credit. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy for those of us that struggle and have
Mhm.
struggled with that. It's not
Yes.
easy, but you can overcome it. You
Yes.
can overcome it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God. When you said the line, I have to put the line where you just said, be okay with the blemishes. Good. That need to be on a t-shirt. Be okay with the blemishes because oftentimes, whether it be from rejection or fear or whatever we have experienced in our lives where we are trying to measure up, trying to be accepted, trying to be enough, trying to be okay, we find ourselves pushing for the perfection that we will never reach.
Will never reach.
Crazy
It's
part about it.
unattainable. It is
Yes,
unattainable. And there are so many pressures to
yes,
reach that perfectionism,
yes.
whether it's in our work or our look or our relationships,
Mhm.
and a part of the new thing that has amplified the spirit of perfectionism is
Mhm.
social media.
That's right.
Mhm.
We're watching Heather and we're watching
Mhm.
Andretta and we're
Mhm.
saying, why don't I sing like them? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to fix this so that my notes come across like the two of them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
why doesn't my hair kind of look like hers? Or, why am my relationship not? And then we start putting forth things that are false,
Yeah.
Yes.
putting forth things that are not true and genuine.
Yes. Yes.
And that spirit of perfectionism continues to perpetuate.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So good.
You're
Be
right.
okay with the blemishes. Be okay with the blemishes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. So Karen, tell me this. As I was reading um the book, I know that you're a wordsmith. Andretta is a wordsmith as well. And so I like the fact that, when you start defining things, you actually give the definition
Mm-hmm. I
of
like it too.
of things, which I really like that, because we hear words all the time, but sometimes we don't know what they mean, um, and how they're used. We just use
Mm-hmm.
them. Um, so I really like that when you do that. You've done that within this book, and on page 78, you talk about start where you are.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, because we feel we should be further along
Mm-hmm.
in life than where we are, we're chasing that thing,
Yeah.
and then we realize we never started.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so talk about, 15 years ago, before this book ever came out, um, how did you decide to actually start where you were?
So at the prayer breakfast, at the women's prayer breakfast, um, received a word. And, even though I wrote about the women's prayer breakfast, all of us, each of us, have been in a scenario where we were inspired, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either
Mm-hmm.
in worship, or we've been in at a conference, or we've been in a conversation with a friend. Something was said, or you saw something that woke up that spirit in you. You were inspired, you were excited.
Mm-hmm.
So at this women's prayer breakfast, I received this word of confirmation, which is
Mm-hmm.
what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I told you all earlier in the show that I've wanted to write this book, right? And so I would wake up writing things on paper. So this woman at this breakfast, whom I did not know, who did not know me,
Mm-hmm.
turned to me and says, "When are you going to release that book? When are you going to start that book?"
Oh wow.
And I thought, this lady knows me from nowhere. She doesn't know me. How does she know
Yeah.
Yeah.
something that I've never shared with anyone? How does this woman know? How does she know? And so, it was that incident and another that I mentioned in my book as well,
Mm-hmm.
that I left away from feeling inspired because they confirmed things that I
Mm-hmm.
already knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I left away from there inspired and didn't take action.
Mm,
I
yeah.
didn't take action. And so it wasn't again until I received the final moment of inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to leave as a cliffhanger for
Yes.
Mhm.
those that have not gotten the book.
Right.
In
Yes.
the Several people told me I got the book. I haven't started reading, so I don't want to steal it
Yeah.
Right.
as a spoil.
Yeah.
But that final moment,
Mm-hmm.
and let me tell you, the God that we serve will use the foolish things
Mm,
to confound the wise.
yeah.
Wow.
He will use anything that he has to get our attention,
Mm-hmm.
to bring a message to us. And, we're constantly asking, God, give me a sign. Lord, show me. What am I to do? And, I'm sure he laughs at us often and says, daughter, I've been showing you this for years.
Mm,
You heard it. You heard it through your pastor.
mm-hmm.
You heard a little child say something that connected with that dream that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Saw an image in nature.
Mm-hmm.
You've been hearing the confirmations for years.
Yeah.
Now, what are you waiting on? And
Yeah.
it was all of those moments of inspiration that I said, you know what, I have to start where I'm at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wherever it is I'm at. That
Mhm.
means finding those pieces of paper, putting those things together. And there's a quote in my book that I will share because I have shared it on social media that says, it's never too late to write your story.
Mm.
Oh,
It begins with the first word.
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh
Wow.
It
my
begins
God.
with the first word.
That's
Start
beautiful.
where you are with whatever you have. Oh,
Yeah.
there's so much I want to talk about, but I don't want to spoil it for the
I
people that
know. I know. Just get the book, people. Just get
The
the
book.
book.
Get the book. Get the book. Get the book. It is so worthy of that.
Just
Karen. So tell the people, what do you want them to get out of this when they go purchase this book? What does your heart desire that people really, really, really get out of this? You want them to walk away with what?
I want them to walk away, first of all, knowing that they're able.
Mm,
Sometimes it starts with someone just telling you, you're a champion, Heather.
mhm.
yes.
Andretta, you are a champion. And
Hmm.
champions are able.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that they need to be successful is within them.
Mm.
Mm,
And so, after reading this book, I want readers to know whatever it is you dream about, whatever it is you desire to be, whatever it is that you feel like you have lost the years and the years have passed you by, or
Mhm.
if you feel like the opportunities have lost or skipped over you,
mhm.
it's not too late.
That's
Yes,
right.
It is not too late. As long as you have breath in your body,
mhm.
it's time. Your time is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get on this journey and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Get on it. And you have me. I'm on your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on your team. I'm rooting
Yes.
for you, champion. I'm rooting for you.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's it. I was when I was reading, going through the book, and especially today, um, when I got home from work, I was thinking, this would be a good book club read. Um,
Hmm.
because, and not because of how traditional book clubs are, run. Everybody reads the book, they come in a week and they talk about this, that, the chapter one, two,
Hmm.
three.
Hmm.
But from an introspective situation, how do you plan on finding those moments of epiphany for yourself?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's oftentimes that we see those things happening for other people.
Hmm.
And in our silent and quiet times, Lord, why does that not happen for me?
Right.
And what this book is telling us is that this is available for anybody.
Yes. Come on, Heather.
Yes,
Preach, Heather.
this
Come
is this is
on.
this is for anybody.
Yes.
That's right.
Any soul who wants to take the chance on themselves.
Yes. Yes.
That's it. That's it, Heather.
If you want to bet on you, then this is a guide to help you.
Mm.
So I can see this being
Yeah.
utilized in different ways than just the traditional book
Yeah.
club type of setting. And I don't know if you ever even thought about that, Karen, but Karen is a speaker.
Yeah.
Karen is a motivational speaker. She is, I mean, I could go on and on,
Mhm.
but you know, that's something this is key.
Yeah. It is. It really is.
Listen, this book, as I was writing it, took me on my own journey of
Mm.
therapy.
Yes.
Hmm.
It took me on my own journey of recalling the playground politics,
Yeah.
Hmm.
the quiet moments with Tuna,
Hmm.
Yeah.
the loss that I experienced that I
Hmm.
talked about in the book.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and it really made me think very deeply, which is why I was very intentional about pulling people in with take a hard look at yourself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Sometimes we tuck away those experiences and how we felt after those experiences. and we never really dealt with them.
That's right.
And they stopped us from arriving at our epiphany moments.
Mm-hmm.
They have stopped us from learning who we really are,
That's right.
Yes.
that we're stronger, that we're smarter, that we're more capable, that
Yeah.
no matter how many gray hairs are coming out of your head, there
Mhm.
are still gifts given. And listen, those of us that are believers, God needs us.
Yes.
People don't, a lot of times as I was growing up, the church never taught us this. Okay.
Mhm.
But I want everyone to hear what I'm about to say. The church from years ago didn't teach us that God needed us.
Yeah.
It had us completely dependent on Him.
Yeah. Say that. Say that.
Everything. God,
Mhm.
we need you. God, do this. God, do
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But we are a spirit
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
wrapped in flesh.
Mhm.
God placed in this
Yeah.
earth
Mm-hmm.
to execute His will
His will.
Yeah.
in this earth.
Yes.
So He needs us to be in partnership with Him.
Right.
Mhm.
He needs us to say yes to the gifting that He trusted us with and
Mhm.
to push the gifting out in order for His will to be done through us. And
Yeah.
as a result of that, we're using our gifts and we're being blessed by using our gifts. This is just one piece of me saying, God, thank you for the
Mhm.
ability to write, for the ability to use my words, the ability to use my experiences
Mhm.
to show your glory.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
when we do that, when we walk away, we find out how able we are. We
Right.
find out how much of a champion we are because of Him.
That's right.
Because of
His
him.
will is done. He
Yeah.
gets the glory. We
Yeah.
get the testimony. We
Yeah.
get the benefit in this earth.
All
And
right.
I don't know about you, but I want to realize some of God's goodness while I'm
Yeah.
in the land of the living.
That's
Yeah.
right.
The way that we do that is we exercise our gifts, the gifts He's given us, the visions He's given us, and we push those out with His leading, with His guiding.
Yeah.
And He allows it to bless us.
Mm.
He allows it to bless other people.
That's
Yes.
right.
I've gotten testimonies from people whom I've never met saying, Karen, I watched your lives
Mm-hmm.
and something you said spoke to my soul in a
Mm.
night when I was in tears.
That's right.
I'm not trying to claim to be this and that. I'm just doing what's on my heart and sharing what God has given me. You can do it too. All
Mm-hmm.
the viewers out there, it's your time.
That's
Your
Mm.
right.
time is now to use your gifts. Get in your epiphany moment. Have
Yeah.
your epiphany moment and let God show you what He wants to do with you. And I thank Him for using me and allowing me this opportunity.
Absolutely. Karen, we want to take the time. Listen, this is worth it. Okay.
Yes.
This is worth it. Go to her website, KarenRobertsonSpeaks.com. Go get the book. It's
Yeah.
worth it because for me, just everything that she shared tonight, what we experienced, our own experiences, the fact that Heather and I are comparing the same notes, the same
Yes.
impactful moments, and it was impactful and will continue to be because I've got more work to do in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to, do the the absolute most that it can do within me. And I encourage you to do the absolute same. Karen, I want to thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And Phyllis says, you have a calling on your life, Karen speaks. I love it. And I love Ann says, she said, you're preaching now. Because Karen, I want to say to you, your words have impact. They really do. When you speak, your words have impact, they have influence, and they resonate in
Yeah.
the earth when you speak. And you don't need my validation, but I'm saying to you, that we appreciate your gift. We appreciate what you allowed God to birth through you. We
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the fact that you have come to the pivot pole to share your life, to share the fruit of what you have,
Thank you,
the
Lord.
fruit of your labor and all that God has placed on your life. And we know this is the beginning, and we're glad to be a part of that peace. And so I will say to you all, do not hesitate. We're coming into the last part of the year. This is the perfect opportunity to
right.
get on track, to get that wheel turning in your heart, in your life. Buy one for a friend, like Heather suggested. Say, hey, I got a good girlfriend group. Let's all go buy this book. Let's get together. Let's do this thing. Because if you admit it, you have some things in your life that you have yet to manifest. You
Right.
have some things in your life that you've been waiting on. You may have suffered from that spirit of perfectionism that she spoke of. I have too. I do too. And so this is an opportunity for God to use this as a catalyst to break you free and
Yes.
to break you out of that place.
Thank
And
you.
so we're encouraging you to do it. We did it. We wouldn't say it if it was not good. She would not be on this show talking about this book. Okay. And we're not Oprah, okay? We're just
Exactly.
two friends who really love what Karen has done. We appreciate Karen. And so, Karen, we thank you so much. Heather, any last words?
You know, we could be on here all night.
I'm
Karen,
telling you.
I know, Karen. I just say thank you for
Mhm.
allowing God to use you.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you for your transparency.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
thank you for showing us different sides of you.
Yes.
Um, thank you for holding the mirror up
Yes. Come on now.
for me. And yes, thank
Mm.
you for holding the mirror up because sometimes things can happen in our lives that we don't even want to look at anymore. But this book eloquently holds the
Yes.
mirror in a gentle way.
Mm,
Yes.
And I
Yes.
definitely say thank you
Mhm.
for that. And
thank
you guys, you gotta get it. You
Yeah.
just, I don't know anything else to say.
I
You,
Yeah.
just need to say, you all need to follow the Pivot Poll. If you're watching this tonight, guys, they have amazing topics and speakers
Mhm.
each month. They dedicated their life to this body of
Mhm.
work, and I
Mhm.
see it growing and God taking
Mhm.
it and spreading you all out, your
Wow.
message, your gifting. You all are creating platforms to
Yeah.
share wonderful things that bless people's lives. And I
Yeah.
want to thank God for you all.
oh, thank
Thank
Absolutely
you.
God for the
beautiful.
book.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for that.
Thank
Karen, thank you for joining us. We want to thank all of you guys who have been on with us, who joined us tonight as we've walked through Epiphany. We're not done walking. We're going to keep walking
Mm,
with this, and we
me
encourage you
too.
all to do the same. So, Karen, thank you. Heather, thank
yes,
you. My
yes, Lord.
counterpart,
You
my
too.
best friend, my bestie here.
Yeah.
We will see you. We will not be back for the rest of the year. This is our last show for the month, but you can catch us back in January. We've got some exciting things planned
Yes.
for the new year. We wish you all an absolutely awesome holiday. Enjoy it. Spend time planning for your new year. Get some rest, get some
Yes.
fun, get some love in there. All
Yes.
that God has planned for us in this last part of the year. Let's just do it and do it big and allow the joy of the Lord to just walk with us and really usher us into a brand new place next year. So we love you. We thank you and we honor you guys for your time here with us. And
Yes.
God bless you all. Bye
Good
bye.
night, everyone.